The question is, did we in fact allow a department other than the mayor's office to give direction to the police department about where to do an investigation, not based on where the crime seemed to be, but instead based on this particular location?
They're talking about what you uncovered.
Mm-hmm. And it's true.
3 weeks ago, Breonna Taylor's case took an unexpected turn when her family's lawyer, Sam Aguiar, filed a new complaint alleging that Taylor's death was tied to a redevelopment program led by the mayor's office. Within days, the city's Metro Council led a bipartisan effort to demand answers from Mayor Greg Fisher himself.
I was shocked when I read the allegations, and I think Councilman Kramer was too.
All I can do is say that we want the information. There seems to be a strange set of circumstances that came together, and we need to find out why.
I don't know if I'd call it strange.
What word would you use?
Catastrophic.
On the night Breonna Taylor was killed, the Louisville Metro Police Department targeted 5 properties they believed to be connected to a larger drug operation. Taylor's apartment on Springfield Drive, a home on Muhammad Ali Boulevard, and 3 homes on a single block of Elliott Avenue, which are the focus of Aguiar's new complaint. It alleges that the LMPD went on a crusade to target people and homes on a small stretch of Elliott Avenue because the city was hoping to take over properties for a real estate development project there. And that LMPD did it by dedicating to the area a previously unknown police unit called Place-Based Investigations, or PBI, which was formed in late 2019.
I was not aware that there was a place-based police unit that was focusing on that area to do X, Y, or Z.
The PBI unit, they're the ones that get the occupants of this Elliott house every single time. And if your job as a unit is to go to the heaviest, most saturated criminal syndicate neighborhoods in Louisville that does not encompass Elliott Avenue. Let's put 2 and 2 together. Houses are being torn down. There's a city plan clearly to rebuild. And you've got one little trap house that you decide needs to go. This PBI was 6 plainclothes officers and undercover vehicles driving up and down the road all day long. I mean, it was targeted harassing policing. Getting to the point where you need to hit 5 houses with over 70 police officers in a single night, that's crazy. Let's see, just got a text message. Press conference at Elliott at 4:30 today.
You saw that the mayor is going to do a counter press conference?
It's going to be his first time talking.
Thanks everybody for coming out here to Elliott Avenue. My reaction when I saw the assertions from Sam Aguiar about Elliott Avenue were I was dumbfounded to see the linkage of this initiative here of trying to rebuild this block with safe and affordable housing was somehow tied into a nefarious objective with Breonna Taylor's tragedy. So what we're trying to do in neighborhoods like Russell is regenerate without displacement. And that has been on the record for months. You guys all know about that. The main takeaway is this is a neighborhood that needs help. It's being developed by a guy that's been doing this for a long time.
The plans to redevelop Elliott Avenue are part of a multi-million-dollar initiative called Vision Russell. It consists of multiple projects to reshape the predominantly black West End, including demolishing the city's largest public housing complex, Beecher Terrace, and rebuilding it into mixed-income housing. Mayor Fisher maintains that the Elliott Avenue development, led by Develop Louisville, is completely separate from LMPD investigations.
Mayor, did you or anyone in your administration have any conversations with LMPD's PBI or anybody in the LMPD command staff to have PBI come and focus on Elliott Avenue?
We had no specific conversation with them. They're following the evidence in the case, place-based investigation, PBI.
Mayor Fisher, do you that they don't argue that this project isn't great, but it's more specific to how the PBI has gone about, addressing this area. They're asking for documents explaining what the PBI has been looking at. And can you talk about just the process behind how they've been operating?
Well, I'm surprised council doesn't know about that because they're briefed regularly on police activity. But any information that is not precluded, or that we're not precluded from releasing because of the criminal investigation that the AG and the FBI are involved with, we absolutely will release all that information. Thanks everybody for coming out.
LMPD says PBI focused on this street because of criminal activity, but it's unclear which metrics they used to choose Elliott Avenue over other crime-ridden blocks in the city. We reached out to the department, but haven't gotten a response. Meanwhile, public records show that since 2017, the city's Land Bank Authority has acquired 22 properties here, or nearly 40% of the street. And it's in the process of foreclosing on 7 more. Many people who live in the West End do want investment in their neighborhoods. It's just that it rarely seems to benefit the community here in the way it's supposed to.
So when you think about what we're trying to do here in the city and what we're trying to do to the country, there's really nothing more fundamental than people having a stable, affordable home.
Speak, brother! The biggest problem facing black people right now in Louisville is gentrification. And we know
KG is a grassroots organizer who's lived in Louisville for the past 15 years. You wanted to meet here on this block. Why?
So this street used to be called Walnut Street. Historically, it was a place of Black Renaissance. After the Great Migration, all down Walnut Street, which is now named Muhammad Ali, there were single-owned houses, single-owned shops, and businesses owned by Black people.
Are any of those buildings still standing?
There's only one building still standing, and that's why we wanted to meet here. It's the River City Bank. At the time, it was the Mammoth Life Insurance. Every other building that was on this street has been torn down, and it was part of the urban renewal that happened in the 50s and 60s.
Today in Louisville, a lot of the Black community lives on the West End. That's also the center of one of the biggest redevelopment plans, as the city calls it, Vision Russell.
Absolutely.
What do you think of Vision Russell?
Honestly, this gentrification plan is just the newest stage in a long process. This has been going on for 90 years. It's what America does to Black people, pushes them around the city like it's a game. The median income of the Russell neighborhood is $15,000. So when we're talking about market value, we're not talking about affordable housing for the people that live there now. Over 90% of that neighborhood is Black. Once you start raising rents, property values there, it will force the Black people out of that neighborhood. There's no question about it.
Were you surprised when you saw the allegations by Breonna Taylor's family's lawyer about gentrification maybe having something to do with what happened to her?
That didn't surprise me at all, for real. We know particularly when they're trying to push Black communities out of a place, over-policing and nuisance ordinances they step up and they ramp up those tactics. And we know that this is racial banishment, so there's nowhere to go but jail or the grave.
Public records show that from December through April, LMPD officers repeatedly hit 2424 Elliott Avenue, one of the properties targeted on the night of Breonna Taylor's death. They made arrests for drugs, firearms, or trafficking, and the homeowner was sent public nuisance notices. Eventually, he received an order to vacate. In June, he donated the property to the city for $1. So whatever the initial intentions behind PBI, their investigation on Elliott does appear to have helped the city acquire more property on the block. What's the relationship between your office, the Elliott Avenue revitalization efforts, and the Louisville Metro Police Department?
Their relationship with LMPD on that is such that if we are wanting a particular part of town to have better qualities for its neighbors, that's something that we're looking at from the Develop Louisville standpoint. LMPD then, independently of Develop Louisville, also has criminal investigations going on. In this particular case with Elliott Avenue, at 2424 Elliott Avenue, those two things happen to independently come together.
Sam Aguiar, the lawyer for Breonna Taylor's family, shared this project overview from, at the bottom it says, as of November 2019. In the project overview it says, that the Office of Community Development, in partnership with the Louisville Metro Police Department, continued to explore crime reduction measures on Elliott Avenue with an emphasis on place-based crime prevention strategies. Why are the Office of Community Development and the Land Bank working with LMPD on crime reduction?
They would only be working together in terms of here's an area where we have code violations, property that's not kept up, which oftentimes correlate with criminal activity here in Louisville and every city around the country.
In July, when the mayor's office released an updated version of the project overview for Elliott Avenue, there was one big difference. The project overview section is almost entirely identical, save for that sentence, which is not there. Why was that changed or omitted?
I can't remark on that. I'm not familiar with that.
Mayor Fisher initially tried to distance his office from PBI, but he since had to walk that back. Emails shared by his office show a direct correspondence between PBI and his staff on the status of 2424 Elliott Avenue shortly after Taylor's death. On April 8th of this year, Detective Kelly Hannah Goodlet, who is part of PBI, sent an email which is CC'd Joshua Watkins, who I believe is an advisor who works within your office, updating about 2424 Elliott and a third strike and the possibility of expediting a fourth strike. Why would PBI then in that case be CCing someone from your office?
Joshua works with PBI.
And also with your office?
He's a Metro employee.
According to Joshua Watkins' LinkedIn, he's a special projects advisor in the mayor's office. He never responded to a request for comment. Vice News has filed multiple open records requests related to PBI, but the city has yet to provide any documents. Metro Council, which is led by President David James, launched an investigation into Mayor Fisher and his administration regarding Taylor's case. Hearings begin on August 3rd. What did you think of Sam Aguiar's amended lawsuit about the new accusations that recently came out?
I didn't even know there was a place-based investigative unit, and so I learned a lot from reading that. Now, how much of that is accurate and true, I don't know. And that's why we're asking about having documents and having people come over and testify about what they knew, when they knew it, and how they knew it, and what exactly did or did not take place.
Well, I was going to ask why you came forth to demand documents from the mayor's office, from the city about the new accusations, about the city coordinating with the LMPD to clear a street.
The lack of transparency from the mayor's office as it relates to anything related to Breonna Taylor. It's very frustrating to us, and it's very frustrating to the citizens. And so this was just another thing that the mayor's office was not being transparent about, because we knew nothing about it.
The relationship between PBI and the mayor's office still isn't clear, and the lack of transparency is only continuing to give life to Aguiar's allegations.
It seems like each week there's something new that comes out in this case that's not released, so it just makes you wonder what is going to eventually get released. There's nothing wrong with cleaning up neighborhoods and getting rid of pockets of drugs and violent crime. But when the methods that are employed to make that happen are misrepresented or kept quiet from the public, that's where the problem is. So ultimately, is PBI the reason why Breonna Taylor is dead? Not by itself, absolutely not. There's so many things that went catastrophically wrong that were botched by these officers in the city and everyone involved. Any of them doesn't happen, and we're not sitting here right now. Breonna Taylor is literally working through the second wave of coronavirus right now, helping people like she always did.